So hello guys, what's up, this is ScherBR talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're doing a review on Romancing Festival Rocbouquet's banner. This is technically the third summer banner we are getting, and this is a global exclusive banner made out of some of arts that we got in JP as skins, but they made out Summer Asellus, Summer Elisabeth, and Summer Rocbouquet. It's just funny that we are getting another version of Rocbouquet just so fast since we got SaGa, the stage Rocbouquet that has her human version that's pretty good. May not be the best damage dealer, but she has some very interesting support with one unique passive that increases intelligence of the whole squad. And intelligence is important because we can instant kill, we can inflict debuffs, and also increase the squad damage. Like I'm saying, there's no bad character here, although I do believe that Rocbouquet is the star of the banner. And also let me say something, I was a little away recently for some days because I was working in my new mini studio that I have been working on. It's just a workplace and now I have some better equipment and we are back to full speed. So let me click here on some details. We do have a lot to discuss because these characters have some very interesting things. This banner has two characters that can do some intelligence debuff and another one that's attacker with some squad buff. Rocbouquet is very interesting in my opinion, and like I said, the star of the banner. It's hard to understand without giving a look on all of her styles as well, and I do have to look on Reddit to check her status because we cannot check the full maxed status inside the game. I still don't know why, but let's click here on browser and let me thank you Hands for A3 for posting this information. Super important. This was based on a video from Taiwan, so we have the informations here. This version of Rocbouquet has many focus on status. She's focused on agility, intelligence, will, love, and charm. Well, it's not insanely high, but love and charm are important in her build. We do have 81% of agility, 96% of intelligence. Her agility is very high, but I mean, it needs to be high since she's a mage. She is also an AoE attacker, so we do need more, but there are other characters with higher than that. But it's good enough. She doesn't have fast attack, so we do need agility. Her intelligence is 96, well, very good, although she doesn't have more than her Perfecto style. We'll get into that. Now, let's click here on our SaGa to check a comparison to her other styles. As you can see, the Perfecto version already had 96% intelligence. The agility was pretty bad on 62. She did have a higher bonus, 16, but this version has a bonus of 12. Although the base is way higher, it's better to have a higher base than having a bigger bonus. And what they did is getting the intelligence out of the Perfector version and getting the agility out of the stage version. Although the bonus is higher on our current one, instead of just 5 we have 12. That means that she will be the fastest Rocbouquet that we have. And also having not the best intelligence, but pretty close, because the bonus is higher, get us pretty close to the same results as this one. Although this one has, like I said, an intelligence buff that helps herself and the squad, and it's pretty important into, well, sometimes of inflicting status elements or just increasing the squad damage. So what we have here is yet another version of Rocbouquet. I feel like we can get back into the game now and discuss the attacks, so it's easier to understand. Let's click on trial. The first attack, it's pretty interesting, Lightning Crash. First of all, Rocbouquet is a multi-elemental mage, and that's why she's so interesting. In the start of the game, she didn't have this specific dedicated staff, but now she has. In this case, the first attack is based on Lightning. As you can see, is a water spell. So she still needs a double element staff. We did got one recently with SaGa the stage events. So everyone should have that. It's a double S weapon. It increases her damage potential as well. What we have here is a free attack with not much power, but at least it has a free utility of having the chance to stun a target. She does have some good agility, and the chance is low, but her intelligence is pretty massive. It does help if you need this in some specific situations, although the real case usage is not that high. We do have stun unit, it's way better for stun infliction. We even have Merceting freestyle that can also stun with high chance instead of just low. But maybe if you need someone, you lack the other styles, she may help you in some very specific situations. Stun is not something that we can do in boss fights unless not romancing stages. But it's free, well, nothing bad, especially because of the lightning damage that's so hard to find. Okay, so a sheep attack that is free, there's no cost, no downside, and it's made like that because she needs to save VP to use her other 2 attacks. And her second skill is called Blooming Fireworks, and this one here is amazing. Simply amazing. What we have is heat and moon damage. Rocbouquet producing heat damage? Yes, that's true. And because it's a moon spell, you don't need a fire staff. And it deals damage to all enemies with B power. I don't know if it's on the start or on the end of the B calculations, but it's pretty good. We have many other attackers that opens with B, like Commando Emilia, and the damage is pretty massive. But the important thing here is that she recovers all surviving allies BP by 1 point. May not seem too much, but guys, there are many characters that cannot perform some very interesting setups because of failing to have 1 more BP. Like, let's say you have a character that uses 7 BP with 1 attack, and you know that on the second turn you don't have enough BP anymore because you would need 14. With +1 BP, you will be able to use this attack with this specific character. She enables some different strategies because of that, but there are some problems with this. First, she needs to attack on the first wave in order to allow other characters to perform different actions on the second wave. She does not have fast on this attack, meaning that you have to place her on agility plus position where she needs to be the fastest character in your setup. But just because of that, it means that she will be used in many scenarios. I think that in farming scenarios, we can use her also in Final Island, and even in boss fights if you really want this BP+. But we also have to remember that Water Festival from Nawal's Daughter, the only other skill in the game that can increase BP of the squad, uses only 9, and the good thing is that it also carries a whole squad buff. If you're using the 2 together, it means that you are reducing 2 BP out of your squad. Sadly, this attack is AoE. In boss fights it may not be so useful because, well, we would prefer the single target attack. But you can use this again faster since you are getting a reduced BP even on herself. I feel like this also enables some other setups where Rocbouquet can be used with Barthélemy. Remember, Barthélemy has a chance of not attacking with AoE on the last wave because he needs his passive to trigger. This kind of fixes Barthélemy's problem of not having AoE on turn 3, but it's also more standard farming because it doesn't carry any fast. Also enables her to work with Joe and also with Genryu, although you will have to think well about the formations that you are using. I really like this attack because it carries heat and we are always missing more heat damage, although not as much as lightning. And the last skill is called the Psycho Boom, and this skill has a lot of effects, my god. Psycho Boom is an attack that deals moon damage and has 2 types of damage, and many different effects. Let's click here. Psycho Boom uses 12 VP, so be prepared because it's a high cost, and it has AoE attack aligned with single target attack. So you have 2 attacks on this skill. It's a combination of 2 things that already exist in the game. The first is Psycho Noise. This attack was something that you could use with Judy. It's an attack that deals moon damage and also intelligence and will debuff with a chance. The highest chance, depending on your intelligence, and the effect is 15% debuff for both intelligence and will. We debuff intelligence to reduce incoming damage, reduce the chance of being inflicted with status ailments, and also reduce the accuracy of spells from your bosses. This is important. The problem is just that Psycho Noise was an 8 BP skill that you could only use on turn 1, turn 3, and then after that every 3 turns. It was too costly. But it also carried the will debuff that is used to increase our chances of debuffing our enemies and also increase our spell damage. I don't think that increasing our spell damage by debuffing will is important. It barely makes difference, but it is important sometimes to inflict status ailments if your enemy's will is so high. Although buffing yourself is better because we can increase our intelligence, and that is, well, something that you can keep doing like Matriarch or Nawal's Daughter, and it also increases other status. but it helps in the start of a fight to get your debuffs applied. Okay, and this is something that we already knew, Psycho Noise is a no skill, but what about the second, the follow-up is called Euthanize. This is a skill that is pretty recent in JP, it comes from a future mage that also uses dark spells, and is a double S power attack with 47 modifier, so it's pretty close to the start of the double S power, and it's also just shadow damage. The thing about this is that this one does not have a chance to inflict, it's a guarantee. But why did they make this? It's because in JP some bosses will be able to clear your buffs, so remove them all, or clear their debuffs as well. So if you were applying will debuff, it will come to a time where it will cleanse and you may have a lower chance to inflict something. By having a guarantee, you have a better effect. So, this will debuff the intelligence of your enemy by 20% with a guarantee. So what do we get here? 35 debuff to intelligence to your boss right from the start. That is enough sometimes to make the boss start missing and reduce the incoming damage by a lot. Bosses are just getting bigger and bigger damage. But not just that, we also have another value here. She will also get an intelligence buff, and this intelligence buff gets up to 30% increase to her own intelligence, allowing her to, well, do more damage on the next turn. Psycho Boom carries a lot of value. 35% debuff to intelligence, 15% debuff to will, and a 30% increase to her own intelligence. The problem is the cost. We need 12 BP to perform the skill, but by using it on the start of a boss fight, you have a lot of value. Remember when we had a character like Global Exclusive Emilia that could reach 45 debuff? Well, she was game-changing for boss. Now we can start evading right from start. Psycho Boom carries a similar design, allowing you to get bigger values right from start. So, there is one thing we need to discuss is her passives, because she can use this on turn 1. Yeah, because she has a passive that gives her plus 2 BP, and that is super interesting. Starting the fight with this attack. Clicking her abilities, Midsummer Days. When your HP is full, you get a large bonus damage, that means 15% increase in damage, and plus 2 BP. This is a recent passive in JP, they are porting it to global right now. It's way better than just Power Charge 2, where you just get the bonus BP and not the increased damage. Since she will be used right from start, Psycho Boom will get even more damage by this. And the second one is Untouchable Beauty. She has a medium chance to enter an evasion stance. This is the same thing as having a chance to just evade any type of attack. Medium chance means 25%. Just compare her to Prefector and Award Asellus or just Puny, where you have 25% chances of not receiving damage. But also carries something else, you will also recover your own HP. She has a very high Love and Charm. That allows her to slowly recover HP to be back to full HP to take advantage of the first passive. Then we have Overtension. And Overtension is pretty massive when you are using this on boss fights because it increases 15% at all times, 30% on combo, and 45% on overdrive. So, she has 15 at all times, 30% on full HP, 45% when on full HP on a combo, or 60% when using overdrive on full HP. That's pretty massive for a character that was not exactly designed as a damage dealer. She's more like a utility character instead. So there are a lot of things on this character, and not just that. Let's discuss something that you can do because of the first passive. We have to check something, and that is a returning banner. Sadly, this returning banner doesn't have any type of discount, only for 3 pulls with paid gems. Well, if you don't have the Prefector Rocbouquet, you need this one to take full advantage of all the type of damage that you can do with Rocbouquet, because, let's click here. This version of Rocbouquet, it's been re-released alongside Award Asellus, you need to check this later as well, and Princess White Rose. Those 3 characters received the highest grades when they were released. They are pretty important up to this day. Even this version of Asellus can still be used as intelligence debuffer. The problem is just her intelligence is kind of low, and that is something that will be fixed. We'll discuss in Asellus review. And Rocbouquet was pretty good because she could just keep using EOE, one of the fewest mages with a 3 BP cycle, so never running out of BP. Also could use heal, the highest potential for lightning damage. Well, pretty unique character. And if you have this version, you increase the utility out of this summer Rocbouquet. With Dark Pulse, yeah, you have a 3 BP, so always available, AoE attack that you can use right after, cycle, boom. And you just keep using this to farm, and that will be okay. She can use it in standard farming, very nice. Or you can just inherit Enraged Squid. Like I said, it's the highest potential for lightning damage. She attacks between 3 to 5 times. If you get 5 hits, it's pretty massive. She can do around 100,000 in an enemy that's weak to lightning, or even better than that. Well, and the other version that you can inherit stuff is her Platinum style. You can inherit the heal spell, or you can also inherit the 3 flower out of her SaGa the Stage banner. That's something interesting. Or you can use also her single target attack in turn 1 and in turn 2 as well, because that single target attack uses 8 PP. You see how you can just improve even the past versions of her, or the past attacks can be improved by the use of this summer version. Well, this also increases the cost of having the perfect Rocbouquet, but also means that you have a lot of different roles to fill with this character. So in my opinion, she's the start of the banner. She's an intelligence debuff, she deals good damage, she has support, she can increase PP. She can do very high damage if you have Prefector Asellus as well. Or if you don't, you can still use her without inheritance. She's still pretty massive. You can just decide if you want more BP or if you just want her to debuff intelligence, and she can work well. I don't believe that she can work just as your sold intelligence debuffer, but in some situations, yeah, it may work if you have also agility debuffer, because the spell from a boss is calculated based on its own agility and intelligence for accuracy. Remember this, it's always important. Well, now it's time to talk about other characters. We talked too much about Rock, now it's time to talk about Asellus. And what we have here with Asellus is just... what can I say about this version of Asellus? Look at her in STR already. It doesn't even have bonus. Usually a character has bonus on the specific status that means more for its build. And we don't have here. What we have is bonus for agility and intelligence. And they are pretty massive. STR is low, endurance is low, love is low, and charm is average. She does have high enough dexterity to land her attacks, 90% agility, meaning that she is faster than even mages, and 82% intelligence. That's very similar to her own STR. But in this case, you have a bigger bonus for int, so she even have higher intelligence. She needs poke weapon to perform well. She is a debuffer. We need to discuss this. Don't look on this version of Asellus as a damage dealer. If you do, you will just, well, feel underwhelmed. Intelligence, agility, and dex. STR still, because she's still a character that uses words, so she needed that. But for recent characters, 85 is pretty low, especially without bonus. I think that we need to see her past styles. Okay, and here we are. And let me tell you, she has an STR even lower than the award style, because even if it has a higher base, it doesn't have bonus. So don't think about her as a damage dealer. Prefector Asellus has higher STR, also has very high agility, although not as fast. But we need to discuss about the elephant in the room. In JP, they just released this version of Asellus that is like the evil version of her. If you are following the evil path in SaGa Frontier Remaster, you get to know a little more about this. And she has insane STR, she has insane agility, she has even very high intelligence, although not as high as this summer style, because they knew that people will complain if she was totally outclassed by the future version. This one is a jack of all trades. She can be used for intelligence debuff as well, but also for damage. And that is super important because we need to look further in the future to see if having the summer style does increase or change the utility of the future evil version. Well, this one has a lot of stuff that it's hard to discuss because it's pretty strong, but we don't know when we get this version of Asellus. It can be like 6 months from now, or I don't know. And she has AoE, she has single target, and well, she's pretty massive. She has a lot of status buff to make her pretty powerful. But not much into this character, and let's return here and, well, we actually can get back into the game to understand something. First of all, we have dual thrust attack. Asellus is a character that also do pierce damage. The Perfector version of Hannah has flash triple thrust. It's a slash plus pierce attack with very high damage, very close to triple S, and only 8 BP cost. It's still useful with her and Annie. Annie also has dual thrust. That's a free attack that does slash and pierce, and she's just copying this attack from her. And it's good because it's free. You can awaken at 0 BP. This means that when you are using Perfector Asellus, you can inherit this one so that you always do pierce damage. I don't know why it's here because it's free, but she's not exactly a damage dealer. I would prefer her to have maybe even a 100 HP heal instead of, well, the added pierce value. Similar to what we have with Cotton. She could have had that. Then we have Mirage Blade Plus. And why? Because she's not exactly a damage dealer. I don't know. And the only reason is that it means that getting this overwritten is easy because we will need to use her third skill. But let's look in Mirage Blade. Mirage Blade is a skill that got outclassed easily in the game because it costed too much and it didn't deal enough damage. But they upgraded that to B. It was D. D from B is massive. It didn't change the BP cost, but you can still use this 2 times in a return cycle. What this means is that right now all Mirage Blade users can upgrade Mirage Blade, and they are better using this skill than this version of Asellus. Yes, that's totally true. But, well, as you can see, she can use this twice in a return cycle. Turn 1 and turn 3. And that leads us to the last skill called Phantom Blade, and Phantom Blade is her selling point. No one can say otherwise. Look, what did she do here? Phantom Blade has fast, so it's a fast attack, but it only has S power, so the damage is not that high. It's even lower than Global Exclusive Monica, that has a double S damage, and she doesn't do much damage even with double S. Phantom Blade will do very bad damage. Let's compare the full damage potential of the skill to a heavy hitter with an A power. Yeah, like I said, don't think about her as damage dealer. Okay, so when she attacks, she has a chance to reduce intelligence, so she still has a chance, and the effect is small, so 15% when you rank this to level 99. And right after she enters as evasion counter stance, and she will counter attacks, direct attacks only, meaning that maybe you have to use her on the Tiger Shark formation, so that she gets more attacked, and she counters with Mirage Step. Mirage Step is that attack that got popular with Award version of Asellus. The same award one that we got now in the returning banner. That means that people that already have it have a easier way to build this Asellus, but those that don't will think too much about summoning for her specifically. Let's give a look on Mirage Step here. Mirage Step is an AoE attack. It was the first of its kind with the cheap BP cost. You can use this many times before you run out of BP. And now we have some characters that can also heal BP to make this take even more time to run out. And AoE, E power, well, it's very close to what you do with normal attacks, a little higher. But AoE intelligence debuff. It was pretty important for a lot of time. We could also just use this for farming as well. But now, she uses that as a counter attack. She doesn't have it herself. So, if you are on a stage where the enemies do direct damage and you want to take advantage of this, it will be massive. But how many times in practical usage will you be able to use this? Not that many. And that is something that makes it a little limited. It's gimmicky. That's something that I have to explain. And at least it gets the same rank as Phantom Blade. But remember, it's just E power. It barely increases in damage by ranking up. So Phantom Blade will be useful in the future when we get tower events where we have multiple bosses that do elemental damage. It will be that moment where you say, I trained this style for this specific moment, but all the other times you will be using the Prefector Asellus to farm, by even inheriting Mirage Blade Plus if you want, or in the very far future, using the evil version of her. While, in specific boss fights, we prefer this one, if you want to use her as a debuffer. And what makes her a better debuffer? Well, we have to check the style details and abilities. The first one is Phantom, and Phantom has a 25% chance of negating damage. That is something that she has with many of her styles. Very useful in boss fights because it may save you from death, especially in nuke attacks. And then she has two things that are pretty massive. If you're using her alongside Rocbouquet, I don't know how much intelligence your enemy will have after turn 1, because turn 4 will randomly choose a target and debuff its own intelligence. The problem, it's a random enemy. The value, 20%. This is similar to what we have with Mayor. Mayor does debuff intelligence for a random target only once, but in his case is will. In her case is intelligence. So she starts the fight, this go before you attack, so it goes into action instantly. So if you are also using Rocbouquet, it means that you have plenty of effects. So the bad thing is that it only triggers once. So you have this on turn 1 and, well, turn 2 it already gets decreased value, because all debuffs in this game decreases value over time. So good and bad on the same way. I don't like when a passive stops working in one turn, unless it's for nuke. And then we have Enervate 4 Intelligence. This one has a chance, medium chance, so 25% chance of debuffing intelligence by 20. It means that if you are using Mirage Step, you have an additional 20% chance, 25% chance of debuffing intelligence. So sometimes you'll be debuffing twice. That's what you do with Onsen Genie. Onsen Genie was released around Christmas, and she have a similar passive. I don't know if it's the same chances, but it's similar. She just has an attack with only 2 BP, so she never runs out of BP. But she also has this chance to double debuff. Is Asellus better than Genie? Yes, she has a higher intelligence, she has a chance to negate damage, she also has this counter stance that Genie does not have, but do you really need both? Let me rephrase, if you already have Onsen Genie, she works by herself. Sometimes you may think that you need 2 intelligence debuffers, you may need, but you don't need 3. If you get Rocbouquet and you already have Onsen Genie, you technically don't need Asellus. And if you already have the past version of Asellus, she's still fine. The problem is that older versions of Asellus you start missing. They are already missing because her intelligence was not so high before. Remember, let's click here again so we can check the intelligences on... Let me click here on the browser. We can check all the intelligence of her different versions and how much difference does it make. We are going from 50% to 82 and 60 point plus. This is huge, especially when you are buffing yourself if you are using Matriarch or Nawal's Daughter. Means that, yeah, she will hardly miss any debuff, and that is important in the future. Right now, maybe, but yeah, we have a very gimmick character. But I do like gimmick characters because, like I said, it's that moment where you have a character trained and you say, whoa, I trained it just for this. This is similar to what people make out of counter-attackers, even for Neos in JP. He can be extremely useful, but not all the time. But right now he can because he has different styles as well. So, is Asellus good? Yes, of course she is. But you need Mirage Step also from her older style for different situations. If you want to use Phantom Blade, I strongly believe you will only use this once, and then after that just keep using Mirage Step. Because I don't know how many boss fights will last more than 4 turns against many enemies. I mean, how much time you have to use Phantom Blade again and you still have all bosses alive? I don't know. I really don't know. And by being gimmick, it means that she would not work for farming that much, and at least she does give Mirage Blade Plus for farming on Prefector Asellus or Dual Trust for boss fights where she may just get extra damage for Pierce. Well, let's talk about Elisabeth now. And Elisabeth is good, yes. I have to think about her twice, because when I look at her first, I kind of criticize her a little too much, but Elisabeth is actually a good damage dealer and a straight upgrade over Paulus. It's just that Paulus was not that useful for me, and I got him and maxed him, and yeah, I barely find reasons to use him, but that's because we have many gunners that are pretty powerful. So Elisabeth is a club user, so she needs to be used in STR positions, and let's check her status. Yeah, we have read it here again. Elisabeth has pretty massive STR. Yes, she does have 98% STR, pretty massive, plus 12, and then she has some very strange setup here. Well, her dex is good enough, her endurance is good enough, very hard, and she even has plus 16, even higher than her STR as a bonus. I don't know why, because they wanted her to be an all-rounder. She tried to be too many things on the same time. She fails to be a specialist, but she can be used as that filler character that you are, well, building a setup and you say, I have an STR position, let's use Elisabeth, why not? She even increases blunt damage. She's very interesting for some setups that I'll be explaining later. So she has a very okay agility on 80%. She does have some AoE builds. I wish she had a little more, but it's not bad, I must say. At least she needed a little of a bonus here instead of bonus for endurance, in my opinion. She does have bad intelligence because she does not use. Will is on 61. Will is important on her. I don't know why they didn't increase it a little further. And she does have low love and normal charm. So, her status are not that impressive besides STR. But, well, she does need more will so that she can survive. Well, she should not be considered a full tank, but she can be used in some specific situations. Let me show you the other versions of Elisabeth. So this is Elisabeth. We have two different versions of her. This one is Platinum. This one is limited. It was given out in an event. It's not available anymore, but we'll be able to get it in the far future. So she wins in every category, in my opinion. Yeah, she has higher status for everything. Yes. So what we get from these other styles are inheritance, but more into that later. Let's return to the game. So Elisabeth is the best version of Elisabeth, of course. She has White Hammer as the first skill. This one is the same attack as we have with Paulus. And like I said, she's a direct upgrade from Paulus. White Hammer is a cheap AoE attack. Well, it's low damage, it's only A. And like I said, it's very close to normal attack damage. But it can be used in some scenarios if you are normally farming instead of just using fast attacks. She works. And then we have two other skills that at least have a cost higher than 10. So if you want her to just keep using White Hammer, she will. But she needs to attack on the first wave. And that was one of the things that I criticized the most during my live stream. Because I wish we could use an AoE attack with her in one of those two skills. So that she will always use AoEs. We could build her for that. But she does not work like that. Yes. So the second skill is Multi-Directional Strike, and this is the skill that she stole from Mayor. This is a double S damage attack, right from the start of the SS damage calculation, so the damage is not that massive. But the good thing is that this can be awakened 3 times, meaning that she can use it 2 times in a 3-turn cycle. Because her STR is high, she does have good passives. Multi-Directional Strike will be doing way more damage than it does with Mayor. And Mayor is respectable, let me say, for a tank. And it does increase the will by a large effect. The large effect is 40% increase in will. Her base is not that high, so that means that the increase is good but not insane. And increasing your will help you out in some specific bosses that use single target status elements. So she can be used in the front line of Tiger Shark formation for that. Although, like I said, she's not exactly a tank. But it's free. Well, this will buff is free. And then the last skill is Dual Hammer, and this is a nuke, a real nuke. Dual Hammer, let's see here, is the blunt version of Double Crush. It even has the same animation. This skill is unique to Global. There's no version of this in JP, so we don't know the real modifiers. It's A, but I don't know if it's on the start of A, if it's on the end of A. She does face competition against Summer Allen because both should be used in the STR position in Rainbow Rangers, or, well, in the Dragon Strike or any other. The thing is, if Summer Allen is used on turn 1 and she only uses 2 attacks instead of 3 because she can attack between 2 to 3 times, she won't do as much damage as Elisabeth for blunt, because Allen uses both blunt and slash. But if Allen attacks 3 times, she will do a higher damage. She has RNG. But also, one thing that we still haven't seen is that Elisabeth has a party buff, so she can even help Summer Allen if we are using, I don't know, Dragon Strike and both on STR positions. But guys, Dual Hammer is a strong nuke because of her passives. She is everything about damage. 98% STR and also passives that increases even further. For the first one we have Blunt Blitz. We saw this before. It was with Fuse. The second version of Fuse has a very similar passive, but it's a little different. In Fuse case, it triggers on the beginning of the round. She triggers on the beginning of a turn and can triggers 3 times. Let me explain. What is Blunt Blitz? It buffs blunt damage to all surviving allies, everyone that's alive, by 10%. Yeah, it's good because it increases all of her damage potential and also damage potential of your whole squad if you are going for full blunt. You can also stack this with Fuse, you can also stack this with other status buffs if you want. But a unique thing here is the same thing that happened with Genryu. Genryu used it to have a passive that will only trigger on the start of a round, meaning that in boss fights it will only trigger once and then no more. But here, even on a boss fight, it will trigger 3 times because it's turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 again. But after that, yeah, it stops working. But is it good enough? If the boss fight doesn't last for too long, it's way better than just having a passive that lasts for 1 turn. That is the same case with Fuse. Fuse loses potential on turn 2 onwards because his version is only on the first wave. So Elisabeth has a better passive. Very nice. Increases squad damage. Sometimes this can be useful for Final Island. Let's say that you get your Elisabeth to very low agility and you even place her in the agility down position and she buffs your squad and you needed a little extra damage and she just allows you to clear a wave with less actions. That is pretty good. Easy to use as well. Just place her in a low agility position and it will work. Then we have Weak Point Focus Tree. That increases her damage by 15 when she's attacking a weak target. Well, she could have used a Battle Tension on Over Tension, it would be way better, but that's what she has. A little of a downside in my opinion. And then Fired Up 5, 20% increase in damage at all times. So if you're attacking a weak target, that's something that you should be using her. It's a 35% increase in damage. So we kind of rely on having this active in her own STR. Remember, she also buffs blunt damage. Now what we need to discuss is her inheritance options. Here, we don't have many options, to be honest. She has Sky Travel, that is a triple S attack that can stun the target. She has Terrible Intelligence, it's a higher cost than her Dual Hammer. Not good. Then she does have Bone Crusher plus, but she doesn't have high intelligence, so it's also bad. And then we have Grunt's Land. And Grunt's Land is useful. I think the skill should be upgraded in the future. I don't know when the devs will do that, but it's something that could work. Yes, the reason is, well, let's return to the game. We can use Grunt's Land on turn 2 for AoE damage. That is good because it's AoE damage as well. And then on turn 3, we can use Wide Hammer. That allows us to use 16 BP and make her an AoE damage dealer. Problem is that she doesn't have the highest agility to guarantee that she will go first on the second turn, and well, at least she can attack on the third. That is kind of my problems with Elisabeth. She has an 8 BP cycle for 2 attacks in a 3-turn cycle. She has a higher damage potential with Dual Hammer, that's pretty powerful because of her status and buffs, but this one cannot be used twice in a 3-turn cycle, but it should be strong in bosses and also when we are farming stages with only one wave. Should be pretty massive. And she can be used on STR position. She will do more damage than Summer Ellen if Summer Ellen only does 2 hits, but when Summer Ellen does 3 hits, she beats Elisabeth, and for longer fights, she also beats Elisabeth. So, is Elisabeth bad? No, she's not. She will help you if you have also new fuse so that they can combo together. She can be used in Rainbow Rangers if you don't have any other blunt attacker that uses STR. So I must say that Elisabeth should be training if you get her. It's just not that I would recommend going for her. For me, the star of this banner is still Rocbouquet. She does offer more long-term value. And after Rocbouquet, there is Asellus, and I must say that she's super gimmick. You will be using Elisabeth more often than Asellus. But Asellus has this special usage that when it's working, it's spectacular. I mean, imagine encountering many enemies and debuffing their intelligence to 0. That can help, but when will it help? I mean, we don't have any boss fights with more than one target so far, but we'll get in the future. They should release these characters that work for future content in the future. I don't understand. Global exclusive Monica was a character that had a AoE counter that some people used her in Dojo. Well, you can use this one in Dojo as well, but the damage output will not be important. She's just for int debuff and to survive while doing that. So, for very specific fights, or you can also get Dual Thrust or Mirage Blade to use with your Perfector Asellus for other content that you don't need intelligence. Okay, so it's hard to say that Elisabeth is a better character than Asellus. Now I'm leaning more towards both have similar value. I still believe that in the future, Asellus won't be easily power creeped because she's unique, whereas Elisabeth can be easily power crept and also have other styles that have better cycling and easier options than herself. Although you'll be using her more because we use characters like her for many content like farming or Final Island and everything else, while Asellus is a boss specialist. So, pity for Rocbouquet. And then decide if you still need intelligence debuffers, go for Asellus, you would not be missing, but specifically if you have the award style that has Mirage Step. If you don't have Mirage Step, I must say that they are both equal in value. Elisabeth and Asellus, you have equal value. If you have Mirage Step, then it's okay to pity Asellus right after Rock, if you already got Rock. And then Elisabeth is a bonus. Okay, that is my opinion. What is yours? What do you think about this banner? Have you summoned for it? I am summoning. I still haven't got Rocbouquet. Hopefully I'll get her soon enough. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you still haven't. If you want to support the channel, there are links here in the description of the video. We see each other on the next one. Bye.